Greetings, this is Rory with After Hours Analyses, where at an undisclosed outdoor location in the middle of the night, we analyze our favorite works. So today I'm going to be talking about Bioshock. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about how Bioshock is actually a commentary on the flawed philosophies of one Ayn Rand. So let's get started. It's 1960 when our playable character, Jack, crashes into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean from passenger flight. Players are then introduced to an underwater labyrinthine that is Rapture, an attempted utopian city that has fallen into chaos, violence, addiction, civil war, and corruption. Rapture was a city designed primarily for upper-class elites as a sanctuary from the political, religious, and moral constraints of topside. Its founder, Andrew Ryan, aimed for a society where people could thrive without interference and where success was built solely upon ambition and merit. Now, this may sound completely unrelated, but Bioshock draws inspiration from the philosophies of Ayn Rand, a 20th century thinker and the mother of objectivism, a philosophy based in rational self-interest, individualism, and anti-altruism. Rand envisioned a laissez-faire free market society that rationalized selfishness as a positive contribution to the community, a society with limited government, allowing individualism as a weapon to break the constraints of our current society. Does that sound familiar? Let's ignore for a moment Bioshock's obvious allusions to Rand, like the opening banner being a direct quote of hers, or the similarity between the names Ayn Rand and Andrew Ryan. Beyond these things, Rapture presents itself as Ayn Rand's ideal society, but Bioshock instead uses Rapture's collapse to highlight the absurdities of Rand's philosophies, as well as the sustainability and morality, or lack thereof, of her ideal society. Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism emphasizes logic, progress, and the pursuit of personal success above all else. Rapture is created as a direct embodiment of this idea, rejecting the government oversight and ethical limitations in favor of complete and total freedom. However, Bioshock quickly illustrates how such a system collapses in practice. The discovery and use of Adam, a gene-splicing stimulant drug disguised as scientific advancement, becomes dangerously unregulated, leading to widespread addiction and self-mutilation among the Rapture citizens. Characters like scientist Bridget Tenenbaum, whose past experimentation echoes real-world wartime atrocities, namely her work with the Nazis during World War II, emphasize how easily ethical boundaries are abandoned when progress and outward success is prioritized over morality. Rather than fostering innovation, objectivism in Rapture results in instability and destruction, suggesting that a purely objectivist society cannot function without clear ethical atrocities. For most people, the most direct critiques of Rand's philosophy stem from her blatant rejection of altruism. An additional note to emphasize Rand's personal stance on this idea of anti-altruism: she convinced her husband to allow her to participate in a primarily one-sided open relationship, where she had a long-running extramarital affair with another man, manipulating both men to not leave her. She did this because it brought her joy, which is obviously the most important thing in any situation. Anyhow, Rand viewed altruism as a weakness, arguing that people should not sacrifice their own joys for the interests of others. Bioshock subtly plays with this concept by forcing the player, or Jack, into a moral dilemma surrounding the Little Sisters. For context, the Little Sisters are young girls that Andrew Ryan recruited as atom cultivation machines with the help of our resident scientist, Bridget Tenenbaum. They live in captivity disguised as an orphanage. Players are forced to choose whether to harvest the Little Sisters for maximum personal gain through Adam, or rescue them at the cost of greater power. This decision requires players to confront the value of empathy in a system that discourages it. Within Rapture, acts that appear philanthropic, such as the orphanages housing the Little Sisters, are revealed to be exploitative systems designed to harvest Adam. A detail I almost missed is Jack's tattoos, a 3-link chain on each wrist. The symbol is known to represent the IOOF, or the Independent Order of Odd Fellows, and this I had to look up. This is a real-life, non-political, non-sectarian fraternal organization founded on the principles of friendship, love, truth, faith, hope, and charity, especially through community service and philanthropy. The tattoo subsequently serves as an ironic symbol within a society that rejects compassion. Characters like Tenenbaum ultimately choose to protect the Little Sisters, but the moral dilemma presented by the Little Sisters pushes players to question the roles of empathy and selfishness in any functioning society. As I mentioned earlier, Bioshock echoes a real-world wartime atrocity of the time, World War II. There are several mentions of the war throughout the game, as Bioshock situates Rapture within a broader historical context influenced by the aftermath of World War II. Founded by Andrew Ryan in 1946, the city reflects a world shaped by conflict, competition, and ideological extremism. Lingering wartime attitudes, references to enemies, like Tenenbaum's frequent references to the Japs, and the normalization of violence in Rapture, especially following the craze of Adam, all contribute to Rapture's environment. The constant tension and violence within the city reinforced the failure of Andrew Ryan's vision, as his attempt to create a perfect system ultimately reproduces an actual recreation of the very flaws it sought to avoid. This whole idea simultaneously reflects the errors in Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism and overemphasizes on progress, which actually amplifies unresolved problems of the past. Finally, I'd like to address a key pillar of Rand's philosophy: extreme individualism, the belief that individuals should act solely on their own self-interest. The interesting thing about this pillar is that it deeply ingrains itself in the plot and message of Bioshock, and it's even the roots to the story's biggest plot twist. Andrew Ryan embraces individualism fully, constructing a society where every person is responsible for their own success or failure. Yet, this supposed freedom quickly becomes a contradiction. As Rapture begins to fail, Ryan tightens his control, using surveillance, propaganda, and violence to maintain order. This culminates in one of the game's most significant moments, the revelation that the protagonist, Jack, has been an agent, controlled throughout the entire game, using the phrase, "Would you kindly?" This twist directly undermines the idea of free will and individualism, exposing the illusion of choice within Rapture. Andrew Ryan's own statement, "A man chooses, a slave obeys," becomes deeply ironic, as both Jack and the citizens of the city are stripped of their true autonomy right before our eyes. In this way, Bioshock argues that extreme individualism does not lead to freedom, as Rand suggests. Bioshock presents Rapture as a failed experiment rather than a successful utopia. The city's collapse reveals the inherent contradictions within Rand's philosophy, showing how extreme ideological beliefs break down when applied to real human societies. By exposing the consequences of a world without empathy, regulation, or collective responsibility, Bioshock ultimately argues that no society can function on objectivism alone. In doing so, this game transforms into a nuanced critique of ideological extremism, emphasizing the necessity of balance between personal freedom and moral responsibility. I hope you enjoyed this after-hours analysis on Bioshock and Ayn Rand. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time.